We are going to go over how to find the early spring places to jig for lake trout or cast for lake trout. Now, what I mean by early spring is we have boat launches on this lake. Right now we're on Lake Sebago or Sebago Lake. We have boat launches that are still ice, so I can't launch out of there, which I really wanted to. And the water temp is 33.88 degrees. Now, there's a bunch of things I'm going to drop here that are like really important, and they vary from lake to lake. So right now I can fish 3 different lakes, all my main primary lakes that I fish, and all 3 of them fish differently. So there's a couple things that we are going to look for, and I'm going to share one of the bonus ones, which is really easy to do even if you don't have Navionics. So we're going to actually hop into our Navionics app right now, and I got a fish that's right underneath me here. Got him. Got him. Sorry, I'll hop into the next part of the video here in a second after I land this fish. Not a very big one, but he's flailing for sure. He's flailing. So that fish just burped. So I'm going to give him a little slack here to run if he wants. He might pop off doing that. You might wonder why you lose fish near the surface a bunch. It's because they have a chance to burp. When they burp, they can roll and do a little more things and get themselves off the hook. Yeah. Super ice cold fish, going back in. All right, so one of the first things that I'm gonna do when I'm looking for early spring lake trout spots is I'm gonna go right back to where I ice fished last. So I ice fished here literally probably a month ago, probably to the date actually. This is a basin. I'm not gonna actually show you where it is on the map since it's not my spot, but all it is a basin, and we can punch in right now and I can show you. We're basically just in a little divot right here. I can show you on my my Navionics app. So what we wanna do in this particular lake, it's alewife based. So the bait is still cold. It doesn't like to be cold. So it's hanging down in the very bottom of the thermocline in the lake. The lake has not switched yet. So let's go to a different lake real quick on my phone. And we're gonna go right to menu in Navionics. Now Navionics is a paid app. I'm not sponsored by them. We're gonna go to map options, scroll down, and what I want you to do is to create color schemes for where to look for lake trout. Now if you're jigging or casting is obviously the funnest. But you need to find them up in like 40 feet or less so you can cast out to them with Livescope, or you can cast ashore if you want. It's a little bit harder to do, so we're going to go over jigging. So right now we're going to make a range of where we don't want to fish. That's going to eliminate a lot of water. We're going to eliminate a ton of water doing that. We don't want to jig anywhere deeper than, we don't want to fish past 130, let's say 140, let's say, all the way down to 300. We won't fish that deep ever. So that's like the no-go zone. And our next zone is going to be our jigging zone, if you want to call it that. I like to do about 100 feet. We're going to call this our green zone. We're going to max it out at like 120. To about 40. That's what I like to do. Anywhere in those areas, 40 to 132 are like really, really good jigging areas. Even on Lake Winnipesaukee where there's smelt, you can go as slow as 30 if you were ice fishing there last. And then we're gonna go back to our map and kind of see, this is just Colchester Reef on Champlain, where we want to look for stuff to cast onto. So this is a nice Colchester Reef. Colchester Reef Light is a really good area. I've never actually fished it. I've heard about it. This would be all casting area, and then we can go off here and find good edges to jig on. So we want to cast in like 50 feet or less, 40 feet or less, up to reefs. If you know where they spawn in the fall, they will be right there in the spring. They don't really move that far, which is surprising. I just heard another podcast about that. So those are great spots to find them. So a couple other areas that we can find them is try to find warmer water. Now that's really hard to find in the spring unless you have a giant river coming into your lake that's not dirtying up the water. Lake trout aren't a big fan of dirty water. They can see in dirty water, but they can't see as well. That's what I found. If it's really murky water, you have to have the jig or the cast like right on their flipping nose, which is really, really hard to do. If you have a bay that's even 2 degrees warmer, go fish that bay. Please, please, please go fish that bay. If you don't know what that water temp is, use one of your Sonar or bring one of those meat thermometers that you have for checking chicken at home. Really dip it in the water. We're looking at surface temp, anything that's slightly warmer, which usually will bring in bait fish. So we have yellow perch around here that spawn in warmer bays in the spring. Lake trout will be chasing those. It's not their favorite. We also have burbot that are spawning in the early spring. They're probably done by now. It's the very beginning of April, actually April 2nd. The other thing you can do is you go to USGS. So Lake Champlain has a USGS because it's federally managed. And you can look at all the buoys on the lake and share and look at the water temperatures. So that's just an easy way to find water temps around your area. Even if it's a couple degrees warmer. So we're basically on Main Lake right now, 33.88 degrees. I don't expect to find any warmer water in this lake. So what I'm going to do is go back to my ice fishing spots and see if they're hanging around there. If you want to cast to lakers, which is even funner to do, and this is part 2 of the spring lake trout series, or actually part 3 of the spring lake trout series. What we want to do if we want to cast to lakers is we want to go shallower than you think. 30 feet or less is where I was finding them on Champlain the other day. Humps that are really, really shallow. We can stay off the hump and cast to them. Once we've blown up that fish, we can go blowing up all those fish and caught a bunch of them. We can go right on top of the hump. Imagine if I was standing on top of a hill, and we can, kind of fan cast all the way around the hump and pick up some more fish because we'll kind of spook them. That's super, super fun. That was the first video of spring. I'll leave a link down for that video below. Super, super fun. If you can't find humps, or if your lake has like very little features, what I want you to do is get your boat up on plane and look for any signs of life. That includes seagulls, that includes loons, that includes diving ducks. Birds do not lie. So look for birds. Loons are the ones that really don't lie. They're not nesting anywhere in this early in the spring. They are literally just looking for food. So find those birds, fish right around them. It's a really, really good spot. I learned that a couple years ago. I learned that from basically saltwater fishing, because you find the birds, you find the bait, you find the stripers. Same thing works for freshwater. It does not work all the time. If the birds are being active and diving, there's got to be bait there. There's bait there, there's lakers there for sure. Now, if you have a lake that has a smelt run, what I want you to do is do a Google search, like, let's say, Lake George smelt run, and you're going to find YouTube posts or Google posts or blogs or whatever about what rivers smelt run up to or run into to spawn in the spring. They actually spawn, I think, pretty much at night is when they make their majority of their runs. If it's legal, fish right in front of that river. So I just came out of one of those rivers that the smelt spawn in. There was a few lakers there, but not enough to stop and stay. Try to fish those areas later in the day, when that early in the morning and later in the day when the smelt push back up or the smelt are coming, back out. Those areas will be on fire, which is what I plan to do for Lake Winnipesaukee when our lake unfreezes, basically. Now, these spots might seem a little silly, but as far as the lake trout is concerned, to them, nothing has changed. Yes, we're ice out, so they can come up to the surface a little bit more. It's getting a little bit warmer, but it's still super, super cold, and they're really going to act not really that much different when it's ice out. They will be fired up a little bit more, especially if bait is starting to move around, like example for those smelt that run. And I want you guys to leave a comment below. I don't have access to whitefish or ciscos. What do ciscos do in the spring? Please comment that below. Like, do they swim up into bays? Do they go more pelagic where they go out in the main part of the lake? Please comment that below to help my my northern friends or my guys out west here that have ciscos, because we just don't have them and I don't know what they do. So comment that. That'll help everybody else out. Now, as far as baits go, I tend to run a little bit smaller stuff in the spring than I do in the summer. And I think it just seems to work a little bit better. So right now we're running a 3/8 ounce jig with a 3-inch, shortened 3-inch glow-in-the-dark swim bait. And these are available on benditfish.com. They're made specifically for lake trout. The plastic's a little more durable, and the hooks are upgraded to HD hooks or heavy-duty hooks, so you don't bend them out. Please, 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 do not use light wire bass hooks on lake trout. They will straighten them out because their mouths are all bony. When you go to set the hook, it'll actually bend the hook out. I've done it. I'm like, oh, let me just reach over to grab this bass hook, and I've actually straightened it out, and there's nothing more sad than pulling up a hook that's kind of bent out like that. Sad. Don't do that. Oh, this one's hot. Got it. Kind of a hot mess on the hook set there, but couldn't see the fish till the last second there. I want you guys to hear how much tension I have on these fish. They are notorious for popping off. Oh, what a beauty. What a beauty. Got them in some death spirals down there. Nice little chunk. It's like 24, 25 inches. Nice fish going right back in. Well, I hope this video helped you find some spring lake trout. Now let me know in the comments. Come back to this video if you guys found some lake trout in one of the areas that we discussed. And if you guys want to see more lake trout content, either click here or click here for the spring playlist. And there's also going to be a summer playlist, obviously. Same as last year. We're going to slam them this year. And if you want to support the channel, visit benditfish.com.